Hey everyone, the Gaming Rev here. With this video I'm going to show you the latest version of my PVP Magicka Templar for the Waking Flame patch. Coupled with the changes to armor passives and some really strong buffs to Templar skills, this build not only hits really hard but has great survivability, making it ideal not only for group play but especially in 1vx situations. The cherry on the cake is that this build is very cheap to put together and it relies on item sets that you can be sure will not be nerfed into the ground in coming patches. My preferred setup includes a mythic item, but don't worry, I will offer you an easy alternative that more than compensates for it in case you don't have access to mythics. Anyway, let's get into the build. Let's begin with the race. If you're familiar with my channel, you will know that my favorite race by far is High Elf, as it synergizes really well with Magicka Templars. Spell recharge, not only it helps with your stamina sustain, which is a must in PvP, but it also reduces your damage taken by 5% whenever you use a skill with a channel or cast time, which applies to both your spammable and execute. Not only that, this passive is unique, so it stacks with the passive Spear Wall, which grants you minor protection for 6 seconds whenever you use puncturing sweeps. This means that when you're on the offensive, you always have access to a total of 10% damage mitigation. Then you've got Sirabane Boons that gives you 2k max Magicka, and Elemental Talent that increases your spell damage by 258. Now, good alternatives to High Elves are Dark Elves, Khajiits and Bretons. I actually have a guide on best starting races that you should check out. The link to it should appear in the top right corner of the screen right now. I also highly recommend being a stage 3 vampire, as its skills and passives too synergize really well with Magicka Templar. Elusive Mist is super important for repositioning and for just gliding through immense damage, especially when breaking into a keep. Strike from Shadows grants you 300 spell damage for 6 seconds whenever you come out of Mist form. And Undeath reduces your damage taken by a massive 30%, something that stacks really well with one of the sets that I am using. With regards to my favorite Mundus stone, I would advise the Atronach for better sustain, but you can also use the Apprentice for more damage and the Mage for both sustain and damage. Now let's take a look at my buffed stats. For this I turn to a screenshot, as it makes it much easier, as a lot of my stats depend on 2 procs. You can be sure that the screenshots that I use for my stat sheets are never from trial target dummies. What you see is what you realistically and reliably get. So with this build I get 40k max Magicka, 30k max health, and 23k max stamina, which is great for blocking, dodge rolling and so on. I get 1364 flat Magicka recovery. That may seem a little low, but when you consider channel focus and elemental drain, that number effectively bumps up to 2180 without considering any other means of sustain like reduced Magicka cost. It may not look like it, but sustain is excellent on this build. Then I've got 664 stamina recovery, which is sufficient thanks to the spell recharge passive. Spell damage is 5174, also because of our access to minor sorcery, and our spell critical is of 25.4%. Flat spell penetration is 9130. But to that number you need to add almost 6k extra penetration from elemental drain, which brings it up to a very healthy 15k. If you wanted even more penetration, you could run a 2h maul, although it would not give you as much extra damage as a lightning staff, which also helps greatly with your sustain, as we're going to see a little later. And if you wanted more raw spell damage, you could just run a 2-edged sword, but again you would give up all the extra benefits of wielding a lightning staff. Although we run only one piece of heavy armor, our resistances hit over 35k thanks to one of the sets I'm wearing. To this number you should also consider the 10% damage mitigation in your front bar that I've talked about earlier, as well as the 30% mitigation of when you're in mist form. This build can really take a punch. And then last but not least, I've got 1819 crit resistance, which is quite enough for a zero deal and open world PvP. Now let's take a look at my consumables. For food, I use any tri-stat food that grants me extra max health, max magicka and max stamina. I also, as primary potions, I use Alliance Spell Draft, which grants me Major Sorcery, Major Prophecy, and enables me effectively to free up a slot. And they're quite cheap if you buy them with Alliance points. They're about, here on Xbox EU, they're about 30k for a 200 stack. So they're not too expensive on vendors either. Then I also use Essence of Detection. It gives me spell detection and major sorcery, so it enables me to kind of pull out of cloak all them pesky night blades that keep on cloaking away while retaining spell damage. Again, these pots, they don't offer me major prophecy, but I get it through Mage's Light on my front bar, so I don't really lose anything. It just enables me to detect night blades when I need to. And then last but not least, I use Essence of Invisibility for when situations get a bit too sticky. Maybe I'm carrying too many stones in Icy and I just need to make a quick getaway. Now going back to the gear, let me first talk about some of the armor changes that make this setup so great. The biggest one is definitely in the medium armor skill line. For the passive, agility now grants you not only weapon but spell damage as well. Spell damage is particularly helpful to Magicka Templars because they have access to minor sorcery. This is the reason why I shifted from wearing 3 light, 3 heavy and 1 medium to wearing 3 light, 3 medium and 1 heavy armor pieces. The fact that I am wearing 3 medium pieces also helps me out with roll dodge, which I do a lot in PvP, so now it costs me 12% less. In any case, because one of the sets I'm using is crafted, you can easily rearrange your armor types using more or less armor types as you prefer. If you wanted even more tankiness, you could run 3 heavy, 3 light and 1 medium, or 3 heavy, 3 medium and 1 light. However, it's important that you use at least 1 piece for each armor type to activate the Undaunted Metal passive for 6% extra base stats. Now, despite the fact that I run with much lighter gear, my survivability is still excellent. This not only because of the latest changes to Battle Spirit, but especially because of one of the sets that I am wearing, namely Mark of the Pariah. Now, Pariah not only grants you flat max health and armor, but it increases your physical and spell resistance by almost 10k based on your missing health. This means that the lower your health drops, the tankier you get. This is super effective on Magicka Templars, as normally they need to switch to their back bar when under pressure to spam Breath of Life. This set enables me to stay on the offensive and survive, relying mostly on the stacked self-heals of Crescent Sweep, Total Dark, Extended Ritual and Channeled Focus. Not only that, I observed that when my health drops to 20%, most players would lower their guard, thinking that I am within easy execute. This opens them up to an unexpected combo that often proves lethal to them. If you have never tried this set before, I highly recommend it to you. It's a Hrothgar Overland set that is dead easy to drop and reasonably cheap to buy on vendors. My other set remains Heartland Conqueror. The 5-piece bonus is just too good and reliable to pass up. Not only it boosts the sharpen trait on my front bar, giving me more penetration than spinners, but it buffs my power trait on my back bar, buffing my breath of life by 18%. And that is 2% more than major mending, which is insane. The mythic that I am using is Death Dealer's Fet, or Feet, I don't really know how you pronounce that, which over the length of 1 minute gives me 2640 extra max health, magicka and stamina. I just love this set so much, as it steadily increases not only my sustain and damage, but my survivability as well. Alongside this, I then use one piece of Magicka for the extra spell damage, although you could run whatever else you preferred. If you don't have access to mythics, I would highly recommend Engine Guardian for great sustain and also survivability, as the little automaton often gets in the way between you and your attacker, often taking damage for you. So really helpful in PvP situations. Then on my front bar, as I mentioned earlier, I use a lightning staff instead of a 2H sword or maul, because this patch, Ancient Knowledge, grants lightning staves an extra 10% damage to AoE abilities, namely, in our case, our spammable and ultimate, something that again is too good to pass up. It is also very useful to sustain through the occasional heavy attack on off-balanced enemies. On my back bar, I use an ice staff. The reason why I run an ice staff instead of sword and shield is because Heartland Conqueror ignores your shield trait, as it only buffs weapon traits, which is halved on one-hand weapons. This means that you can reach the 18% healing buff on your power trait only on a staff. On a sword and shield, it would only be half that amount. On this setup, I use 1 well-fitted, 2 reinforced chest and legs, and 4 impen. But feel free to use whichever traits you prefer. My armor glyphs are all magicka, apart from tri-stats on my large pieces, which are head, chest and legs. On my jewellery, I use all arcane with spell damage glyphs. However, when running solo, I like using one infused with a reduced prismatic cost, as it drastically improves my magicka and stamina sustain. And like I've explained in previous videos, this glyph with regards to sustain is so much better than any magicka recovery glyph you may slap on your jewelry. Okay, so it's super effective for sustain, and I highly recommend you try it if you haven't done so just yet. Now let's take a look at my skills. Let's start with a flex spot, that is Live in Dark. Now I love this skill, especially on this setup, and especially when I am playing solo. Not only does it slow enemies down, enabling me to land my sweeps, but it also heals me when I take damage. This skill, together with the self-heals from my sweeps, extended ritual and channeled focus, enables me to survive comfortably without having to retreat to my back bar. Not only that, it really helps me to survive when my health is low and pariah kicks in. Enemies think that they have me on my back foot, when in reality they are only opening themselves up to my damage. By the time they realize that their execute somehow is not killing me, it's too late for them. So definitely run Live in Dark when solo, and possibly Radiant Oppression when in a group, as this skill has been buffed even further this patch. Then I've got Inner Light for extra magicka and major prophecy, although I already get that through potions. This is another flex spot that you can swap for another utility or damage skill. Then I have Toppling Charge, and not only it is a great gap closer and hard stun, but it sets enemies off balance. This means that if you're running low on magicka, you can simply set your enemies off balance and then heavy attack them to recover even more resources. Then I obviously run puncturing sweeps, AoE direct damage that further slows the enemy down while healing you for 40% of your damage, as well as good old Purifying Light, which in this patch received a really nice buff. Not only can it copy and return 50% of your damage done over 6 seconds, up from 40% in previous patches, but it now scales with your spell damage rather than your max magicka. This is another reason why I've decided to invest more in spell damage this patch, as this skill now provides great burst damage which we otherwise lack. Furthermore, it is also essential to proc the passives Prism and Illuminate to activate minor sorcery and extra ultimate generation. And finally, I use Crescent Sweep as my ultimate. It's super cheap, hits really hard, and it's AoE. I basically use it as a finisher. When combined with Purifying Light, it can really burst people down. Then on my backbar, I use Elusive Mist for repositioning and escape. I love it, especially to break into a keep, as there is often so much damage localized on the entry choke points. I pop this one, penetrate enemy lines, and then distract them away from the rest of the group. It is such a fantastic skill for Magplars. The skill's only drawback is that you can't be healed by others, and all your recoveries are suppressed. However, because of channeled focus, which restores to you 240 magicka every second independently from your magicka recovery, you can stay in this form almost unlimitedly, especially if you run that reduced cost glyph that I have talked about earlier. On top of that, it grants you 300 spell damage every time you come out of mist form if you are a stage 2 vampire, so often buffing your breath of life when you come out of mist form. Then I obviously run Honor the Dead, your burst heal for yourself and others. It also gives you back 18% of its cost every 2 seconds for 6 seconds if the target was below 75% health. So that means an extra 700 magicka recovery for 6 seconds, which is very nice. As previously mentioned, I also run Extended Ritual, a great AoE heal over time, plus it cleanses up to 5 negative effects from you and others when they activate the synergy, something that is really, really fundamental in PvP, especially when them oils are dropping like there's no tomorrow. Then I use Elemental Drain, which gives me back magicka and applies Major Breach to the enemy, and Channeled Focus for Major Resolve, magicka returns, and a nice heal over time. For a more defensive ultimate, I still go with Swarming Scion. I've been using the Vampire ultimate as my defensive ultimate since forever, since before it got changed and made even better in later patches. So yeah, it's so good. It instantly heals you back to full health. It boosts your stats by 10k each. It heals you for 16% of all the damage that you do, even if you're in mist form. And it does AoE damage. Not only that, since Pariah increases your resistances based on your missing health, you reach resistance cap even more easily. You pop this and you suddenly become unkillable. Now let's take a look at my champion points, which too have seen quite a bit of changes this patch. Let's start off by looking at my green tree. I run Treasure Hunter, Rationer, Liquid Efficiency, and Steed's Blessing. With regards to my blue tree, I run Master at Arms, Biting Aura, Untamed Aggression, and Arcane Supremacy. Now, if you wanted to increase your survivability even more, I would advise slotting Unassailable instead of Arcane Supremacy. You may wonder why I prefer Unassailable to Duelist's Rebuff, and the reason is that most of the hardest hitting damage in Cyrodiil is AoE, it's area of effect. Think about it, fire ballistas, oils, Nightblade bombers, the infamous Dark Convergence set, Dawnbreakers, meteors, leaps, you name it. The most hard-hitting skills and ultimates in this game, procs in general, they're most of the times AoE. So it just makes sense to slot in unassailable over duelist rebuff. Anyway, this is also how I have set up all of my other passives, just in case you were wondering. With regards to my red tree, I run the new Stars Celerity and Sustained by Suffering, as well as Fortified and Boundless Vitality. Now, since Rejuvenation has seen, you know, a major nerf, it now only provides 90 health, magicka, and stamina recovery. I feel that Sustained by Suffering offers you a lot more. In fact, it offers you almost double, 150 health, magicka, and stamina recovery, while under the effects of a negative effect, which is basically every time you're in combat in PvP, because you're always under the effect of a negative effect. Alternatively, you can run both by dropping Celerity, but I really love Celerity. It increases your movement speed by 2% per stage for a total of 10% movement speed. Now, this is movement speed in general. It's not when you're in combat or out of combat. It just doesn't matter. It applies to everything. And because it's a unique buff, it stacks with other buffs to your movement speed. Now, the reason why I love it so much, especially on a Magicka Templar, is because one of our weaknesses is the fact that we don't really have any inbuilt mobility in our class. And so being able now to get it from a champion point star, I think that's great. For the rest of the passives, you can have a look. This is how I've set up my red tree. Right, so this concludes this build video, and I really hope that you enjoy it. My Magicka Templar PVP build for the Waking Flame patch. If you have enjoyed this build, please make sure to leave a like and a subscribe. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the comments down below, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. So, thanks for watching, and thanks for the support, and God bless you all. Bye-bye.